Pete, did you remember when? Pete, did you remember when? Remember the time that um, we were I was 16. You were however old. Doesn't matter. Irrelevant. We were going
I'm
to
going to say it was about 14, 15.
probably true. We were in Disneyland, and first time going, only time going for both of us. Correct.
Yeah.
And do you remember the only ride that was closed the day that we were there?
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Do you remember why it was closed?
Because there was something about like a man chasing a fat woman or something.
It was more than that, but yeah, it was basically just an overall matter of political incorrectness going on at Disneyland, specifically Pirates of the Caribbean.
How disappointed were you that ride was closed? 0?
0 for you, then I take it.
Yeah.
No, I've only been to Disneyland once. That's the only ride that was closed. It's kind of a Disneyland institution. Like, I wish that it had been open just so I'd done it once. And the fact that they were closed not because somebody had died on it and they were still cleaning up the remains, but because, one example was the depiction of obese people and the way they were portrayed. But I think just the whole pirate aspect in general, they were trying to make it more family friendly. And I remember that at 16 years old being the first time I really heard the term political correctness used to defend some ridiculous action.
Yeah.
So, I was kind of disappointed by that. So, that was really the first example I saw of, maybe I'd heard about a couple of things before that, but Disney controversy. Disney constantly seems to be in a state of mind where they're needing to prove to people that they're as wholesome as they should be.
Yeah, I do remember that from especially in the teenage years, I guess, when I don't know if it all happened right around then, but that's when I started hearing about it, I'm sure you've got some of it on file, but some of the things that would show up in Disney cartoon movies that were inappropriate, and it would circulate and everyone would talk about it.
Oh, yeah. Everybody's looking for a reason to hate Disney. And I looked into Walt Disney, the man himself. I don't know how much you know about him.
I know that,
quick trivia, true or false? Cryogenically frozen? Is he waiting to be reanimated?
I know that.
No pun intended.
I think that pun was intended. First of all, I call you out.
Yeah,
on
I
that.
played that a long time ago.
I know from shows and stuff, I have recollections of cartoons making jokes about not only him being cryogenically frozen, which, by the way, my guess is false.
It is false.
But him being a really evil man.
Yeah, but I was researching Disney controversy, and I looked into Walt Disney first, and nothing that people claim about him can be justified as truth, apparently. So I think overall he was a wholesome guy, but he was one of the first examples of just a huge conglomerate of a man.
Yeah.
He the hugest empire of ever probably at that time.
When was all that going on?
As
50s?
far as entertainment goes anyway. Yeah, 40s, 50s probably.
40s and 50s, yeah.
But it's crazy. So, there was apparently...
But
I was reading up on it, and apparently he's a real stickler in a lot of situations. He didn't... No. You got me. But there were apparently factual accounts of... One story I read last night when I was researching this, because I do research for this show, is he apparently claimed he always bragged about having an eye for detail when it came to the animation of their movies. And so he claimed he apparently bragged to executives and animators at the Walt Disney Company that even he could catch a discrepancy in one frame of the film, which I think they broke down to 1/24th of a second. And so to test him, apparently some of the animators got together. What's that?
Incredible.
Are you bored by this story?
No, I'm bored by Walt Disney as a man.
Fair enough. So yeah, he made this outrageous claim, and so the animators conspired that they were going to trick him, and so they were screening some animated something or other. I don't think they said what.
Steamboat Willie.
Yeah, I hope so.
Only one I can pull.
And it sounds like a porn title, so that kind of works. Because they had slipped in one slice of a naked woman. As the story goes, this was never determined as fact. And a couple of different versions of the story happened, but he did catch it. Every version of the story he saw in that 1/24th of a second as he was viewing this film, this splice of a naked woman. And so he took everybody aside. One account says that he laughed it off and said, if this ever ended up in the actual version of the film, you'd all be fired. But ha ha ha, good one, or something like that. But then another person that wrote an autobiography or a biography about Walt Disney said that...
Wait a minute. Did Walt Disney write it?
No.
Oh, then
Therefore, it was not an
it was
autobiography.
a biography.
Yeah.
Got it.
Thank you.
I wanted to be sure. Didn't know if you knew how that worked, what auto meant.
No, I didn't until you explained it to
Okay.
me. Thank you again. So this guy's account was basically that he pretended to be amused and then took everybody into the back room and fired them all quietly. But I don't know. He was also apparently a Nazi and a racist. But what got this whole thing started in my head was IMDb will have their little hit list every day. They refresh it, and they'll give you little teases for stories otherwhere online. And Cracked, it used to be a magazine that tried to compete with Mad Magazine.
Kind of how Mad TV tries to compete with Saturday Night Live.
Exactly.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
It's canceled.
Yeah, it is. But Frank Caliendo still got a career.
Thank God.
But I came across one of the things that stood out for me was Disney was apparently pretty infamous for being racist, which when you're Disney, they've had animated classics coming out since the 30s or 40s. And so these movies are going to be treasured until the end of time by film nerds, if nobody else.
And don't they always seem to have like a last run on video too?
Yeah. Otherwise, it's going to go back into the Disney vault.
It's going to go into Mickey's vault. Back up.
Which, what the fuck ever. I worked at a video place, a retail video place, and you could always count on Alice in Wonderland coming out again 6 months later.
Yeah.
With some new cover, and that was it. I don't understand Disney at all.
A cover with a big cock on it.
Yeah. But what's crazy is you can't really sit your kids in front of Dumbo without dealing with people smoking cigarettes nonchalantly in a scene. Animated characters.
Really?
Yeah. The crows specifically in Dumbo.
Nice.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's so weird because Disney will always be put under the magnifying glass because they'll always be considered as churning out classic movies. But when you look back at them, sometimes certain things stand out as being not so cool anymore.
Yeah.
In our crazy, society. So what I have here pulled up is the 9 most racist Disney characters, and they're all really good examples. One thing I should say, in looking over this, I have the column pulled up from crack.com, but anybody that grew up with Mad Magazine knows that it's Crack Magazine is no Mad Magazine.
It's what our cousin Tim would read instead of Mad Magazine. If anyone's listening knows who Tim is.
And I think it was a nickel cheaper, too, to be
Yeah.
fair. So it reached out to the homeless kids. Either way. So the first example is, and I don't know, you weren't really into Disney movies that much growing up, no?
Never.
So none of this is going to make any sense to you. I was just fascinated by it.
Okay.
Number 9 is the merchant from Aladdin.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen Aladdin.
And you've played the Super Nintendo game, I know.
Yeah.
Anyway, apparently, the opening musical sequence from the hugely popular 1992 animated film had to be edited due to protests from Arab American groups for saying about the Middle East what most of us were merely thinking. Ha ha ha. But I think it actually says what the line was.
Is that Cracked Magazine's joke?
Yes. And every time I go, ha ha ha, sarcastically, you'll know that wasn't my lame joke. So apparently the moment of offense is, this is the quote, where they cut off your ear if they don't like your face is the offending line, which was changed on the DVD to the much less provocative, where it's flat and immense and the heat is intense. So, yeah.
Slightly more appropriate for a Disney movie, I'd say.
Yeah. And so apparently people bought into that. Sebastian from The Little Mermaid, number 8.
He was
Jamaican, buddy.
Oh, I thought he was Cajun.
No,
like
buddy.
From Louisiana, man.
You need to go back and watch it again. In 1989, they did not know how to respect Jamaicans.
Is that when that came out?
Yeah.
1989? Wow.
I like to think they've gotten it together since then. But let's see what the most offending moment, according to Crack Magazine, is. Nope. Crack Magazine does nothing for me. But we'll move on to number 7, The Crows from Dumbo.
Okay. Dumbo
Clearly,
is something I don't know if I've ever seen.
1941 is the year. So they could get away with this. But they basically translated these black crows that are eating the flying elephant in some element of the movie into jive-talking, very stereotypical black guys who are smoking cigarettes, which is amazing. The crows are very specifically depicted as poor and uneducated. They're constantly smoking. They wear pimptastic hats, and they're experts on all things fly, which is apparently a term they use a lot in the movie.
It's also apparently a term that black people use a lot.
Yes. So I gather. So it's really a team effort. Forget it. You could pretty much pause this video. Fuck it.
Fuck you, Cracked Magazine. Not having all my inside shit.
For its time, though, in its defense, the portrayal of the crows was almost progressive. The crows band together and helped Dumbo learn to fly, so they're counted among the heroes of the film.
All they did was help Whitey.
Apparently, another very offensive African-American portrayal was in The Jungle Book, which 1967, and they moved on to monkeys now. A big ape who's also apparently very, very stereotypically African-American.
African-American.
Yeah. And the ape sings in this movie, I Want to Be Like You.
Nice. They do. Boy, they fuck our women.
Yes. 5, the Siamese twin gang from Chippendale Rescue Rangers. Well, this one seems a little too obscure for my taste.
Yeah.
Chippendale Rescue Rangers was not a Disney classic by any means.
It was a Disney afternoon show, which I did not care for. I more cared for the channel that showed...
despite the fact that we used it as a theme song for our second or third episode.
Yeah, I was still never a fan of Chippendale's Rescue Rangers.
Me neither.
Anyway, can you do your Monterey Jack impression real fast?
You got to give me a line.
Something
with mate.
I think you used to just say, "Ahoy, mate, I'm Monterey Jack." I think that was.
I can't believe you remember this and that you're putting me in the spot, but I will do it. Let me channel Monterey Jack. Ahoy, mate! It's me, Monterey Jack.
I think you used to say, "It's me, Monterey Yak."
Monterey Yak?
I used to think so, but maybe
no,
not.
no. The most exciting part about this is the picture everybody gets to see in our photo album of Monterey Jack from
You
Chippendale
also used
Rescue
to do a
Rangers.
mean Wacko Warner from Animaniacs.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, how you'd say...
By Wacko Warner, you mean John Lennon?
Yeah,
or Ringo Starr.
Yeah, Ringo Starr. You used to say, "I'm from Liverpool. I'm a drummer."
No, that was Nick Keough.
No,
I'm Nick Allers. Anyway, the Siamese twin gang from Chippendale Rescue. Let's just skip right past this one. Apparently, they're blatantly Asian.
Is there anything about Darkwing Duck?
No.
Damn it.
Unfortunately not. There's a scene that was cut out completely from almost all versions of Fantasia.
If there's trouble, you call DW.
Darkwing Duck.
Thank you.
Let's get dangerous. Sunflower the Centaur from Fantasia, who is the blackest... It looks like Ted Danson in blackface. It's so explicit. Like you can see the big fat lips.
Yeah.
Oh, it's crazy. So they cut that right out. The Indians from Peter Pan. I'm just gonna read the titles now.
Okay.
In fact, I'm done with this. Oh, except for number 2, which I thought would be number 1. Song of the South. Do you know the whole story behind Song of the South?
That's the one about Zippity Doo Dah.
Well, it's not about Zippity Doo Dah.
Is that where the song originated?
Yeah, that is where the song originated, but that's not the plot of the film.
Okay.
There's more to it than.
Are you telling me? No. But the three main characters are Zippity Doo and Da.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like Martin Short, Chevy Chase, and Steve Martin in The Three Amigos.
Yeah.
Right?
Or Snap, Crackle, and Pop. I think
Yeah.
they got a movie deal.
Exactly. Any trio through history.
The film Song of the South has never been released on home video in the USA. True or false?
I've never even heard of it except for outside.
You've
that
never
theme
heard of
song.
Song of the South?
Just
This
the
is
theme
infamous. What?
Just the theme song.
Wait, let me interrupt you again, and then I'll...
Zippity doo.
Yeah. So you know enough.
Okay.
No, there's more, buddy.
I don't know the plot.
You don't know why it's never been released
No.
on video?
Does it star Mickey Mouse?
No.
Oh, okay.
Brer Rabbit, I think, has something to do with it.
Okay.
It's intercut with live action and animation.
Okay.
This is pre-Roger Rabbit.
Wow, that's progressive.
Nah,
Maybe
I think
not.
it happened a lot back then. Well, Mary Poppins, for instance, every bullshit movie, they figured it out early on, that one. Somehow Roger Rabbit was innovative, though. I know because I recently watched a documentary on it, and that took a lot of years out of people's lives.
It turned out gold.
Yeah, it holds up even today. Anyway, going back to Song of the South, it's a 1946 Disney film mixing animation and live action, as I
would
said.
already never see it. 1946 Disney film.
Yep. Was based on the Uncle Remus stories of Joel Chandler Harris. Harris, who had grown up in Georgia during the Civil War, spent a lifetime compiling and publishing the tales told to him by former slaves. These stories, many of which Harris learned from an old black man he called Uncle George, were first published as columns in the Atlanta Constitution and were later syndicated nationwide and published in book form. Harris's Uncle Remus was a fictitious old slave and philosopher who told entertaining fables about Brer Rabbit and other woodland creatures in a southern black dialect.
Brer Rabbit really does have something to do with it. I
Yeah.
thought you were bullshitting.
No. I researched this. And so you understand the slave is telling stories.
Yeah.
Song of the South consists of animated sequences featuring Uncle Remus characters such as Brer Rabbit, Brer Fox, and Brer Bear, framed by live-action portions in which Uncle Remus, portrayed by actor James Baskett, who won a special Oscar for his efforts. And yet this movie's still not on fucking video.
White guy or black guy?
Black guy.
Okay.
He's a slave. You're not paying
Got
attention
it.
at all.
I got it. I thought maybe he's in blackface.
And he tells the stories to a little white boy upset over his parents' impending divorce. This is pretty heavy-hitting stuff
Yeah.
for 1940 whatever.
Let me ask you something.
Yeah.
Today, 2008, coming on 2009.
Yep.
They remake this movie. They attach Brad Pitt. They do it in blackface. What do you think?
Well, he's no Robert Downey Jr.
Is it a hit?
Is it a hit?
You hear
It
all of a
depends on the
sudden-
director. Like
You
you
log
don't-
on to
you not
any co-
only need
okay.
Brad Pitt behind it,
Fair
but you
enough.
need.
Fair enough.
Okay.
They're gonna go for the double whammy. Pitt's gonna win the Oscar for Curious Case of Benjamin Button. Him and Fincher are gonna team up. Fincher's gonna do it. Remake Song of the South. Brad Pitt's gonna do it, and then to comment on the racism from 1946 or whenever the fuck, Brad Pitt does blackface. Go.
I can't see it working.
Yay or nay? No, it's not
No.
gonna work.
No, not. You can only get away with blackface if it's comedy, and I think the obvious example is C. Thomas Howell from Soul Man. He really made that shit work.
That worked.
And you can't catch lightning in a bottle twice, my friend.
And you know what? You don't get to direct War of the Worlds 2 straight to video if you're not in an innovative performance like Soul Man. Well, I think Brad Pitt could do it. I think maybe it would work. There's also
I think if they were to remake Soul Man, Brad Pitt has a chance.
that.
Forget Song of the South
You know what?
altogether.
Wouldn't it be amazing if they started remaking all those movies, all those like shitty '80s movies? Like, let's say we get a new Teen Wolf, and let's say
Well, I give it. I'm calling it here on the podcast because I imagine we'll still be doing this in 3 years, whether anybody listens or not. Within 3 years, there will at least be talks and pre-production going on a remake of Teen Wolf.
start with Jason Bateman somewhere in it.
Yeah, making a clever little cameo.
Well, Peter Berg will direct it, and then so of course Jason Bateman will be in it. But yeah, they'll remake Teen Wolf, and then, but I mean, they could remake classics. I mean, you know, my plan to remake The Breakfast Club, of course, both in
I
comedy,
know.
both in comedy and dead serious aspects. But they could remake Better Off Dead and that other weird Savage Steve Holland movie that never took off.
Lizzie McGuire?
One Crazy Summer.
The Lizzie McGuire movie?
One Crazy Summer.
Oh, yeah.
He did write for Lizzie McGuire, though. But yeah, they should remake those movies. They're going to remake fucking Friday the 13th, and why not? Remake some good movies. That's all they do anymore is remake movies, right?
You're sounding like every Variety article I ever skip past.
Oh, I'm so sick of the remakes.
No, I agree with you. Unless they make it work. Apparently Dawn of the Dead is a good example of it working for our generation, right?
Yeah, I enjoyed the new Dawn of the Dead. I've
I
never
did
seen
too.
the old one.
I haven't either, but I like the new one, so.
But, yeah.
And the nerds tell me it's okay to like the new one. Like, it's not off,
Yeah.
It's
It's
not-
just kind of disgusting that there seems to be this Hollywood machine towards just like it's been working, so now they're making the new Friday the 13th. They redid Prom Night,
Texas Chainsaw.
Halloween.
Yeah.
I'm only listing horror movies, but it's just ridiculous. They retell everything. All the TV shows that get made into movies, The Honeymooners. Come on. Where were we going on Song of the South?
Although some blacks have always been uneasy about the minstrel tradition of the Uncle Remus stories, the major objections to Song of the South had to do with the live-action portions. The film has been criticized both for making slavery appear pleasant and pretending slavery didn't exist.
Well, comical at the very least,
Yeah.
right?
Well, it's funny depending
Yeah.
on who's the director, really.
Yeah.
Depends on how you're setting it up.
I think on Sound of Music they had the sassy black Whoopi Goldberg of her generation actress. Have I ever seen The Sound of Music? I don't think so.
I don't think so either. You know why? Because we're men with dicks.
I know that I do. Slight side tangent because Doe Deer. What
I do.
Are you aware of that song?
Yes.
Okay. So I watched that movie and I learned that song, and I think I was also in like second grade music class at the time. And you were watching TV in Mom and Dad's room, and I came in and I told you, "Hey Nick, I learned a new song," and you said, "I don't want to hear it."
I was probably jerking off. You walked right in on me.
Oh, that's very possible.
No, not in fourth grade.
They had the Betamax in there.
So again, the film has been criticized for both making slavery appear pleasant and pretending slavery didn't exist, even though the film, like Harris' original collection of stories, is set after the Civil War and the abolition of slavery. Then there's some bullshit I don't want to read. The NAA...
I think David Wayne should remake Amistad. Embarrassing.
The NAACP acknowledged the remarkable artistic merit of the film.
NAACP.
That's what I said. NAA and then stall
Let's
CP.
talk American.
Acknowledged the remarkable artistic merit of the film when it was first released, but decried the impression it gives of an idyllic master-slave relationship. Disney re-released the film in 1956, but then kept it out of circulation all throughout the turbulent civil rights era of the 1960s. In the 1970, Disney announced in Variety that Song of the South had been permanently retired, but the studio eventually changed its mind. And why would you change your mind? Like, you know why you pulled it off the shelf to begin with. Don't reconsider. Anyway, it changed its mind and re-released the film in 1972, 1981, and then last time 1986 for a 40th anniversary celebration. Although the film has only been released to the home video market in various European and Asian countries, where that thing is not offensive, Disney's reluctance to market it in the USA is not a reaction to an alleged threat by the NAACP to boycott Disney products. The NAACP fielded objections to Song of the South when it premiered, but it has no current position on the movie. Perhaps lost in all the controversy over the film is the fact that James Baskett, a black man, was the very first live actor ever hired by Disney. Allegedly, though, Baskett was unable to attend the film's premiere in Atlanta because no hotel would give him a room.
Wow. Rough.
Yeah. That's what you get for being black. It's a choice. You don't realize, but it's a choice. So how familiar are you with these infamous Disney stories that you hear? Like the ones from when we were growing up. You remember the Little Mermaid thing, right?
Yeah, I'd say I've investigated a few of them.
How do you mean investigated?
Like I watched the movie. I tracked down someone who I knew.
Well, for the Little Mermaid, the main controversy had to deal with the cover, not the movie itself.
Right, and I saw the cover in question.
Yeah. And it was a big throbbing cock.
Yeah.
For those that don't know the backstory, look at dig up your VHS copy of Little Mermaid. Go to your mom's basement or wherever it is, and check it out. And
jerk off to it as we did.
Yeah. So that was a major one. But did you ever hear the other thing? There's one I have pulled up here from Aladdin. Do you know the Aladdin controversy?
I do not, but wasn't there also another one in The Little Mermaid about the boner, or were you planning to get to that?
Oh, no, yeah, I should get to that first, actually. So in addition to the apparent subliminal penis drawn into the castle on the Little Mermaid video cover.
Which was obvious.
And not only the video, but, like, it showed up on posters and, I guess, lunchboxes and everything else.
Sweet.
Like, it was a big mess.
Of cum.
The minister officiating at Ursula's wedding ceremony in The Little Mermaid displays an erection. True or false?
I've seen it, and I say true. It definitely looks like a boner.
What? PJ.
I know that you're going to say it's false, but...
Not only do I say it's false, but Snopes.com and Walt Disney's great-great-grandson says it.
Reliable.
In the film's first wedding scene, the one in which Ursula, for those that have it on DVD right now.
When Ursula looked hot still.
Yeah.
Like she got into a fake body, right?
Yeah, she took the appearance of Vanessa and the voice of Ariel and attempted to marry Prince Eric, which you're not really trying with a name like Prince Eric. They've given up by 1989.
Whose prince was he?
Good question. I don't know. Do you want to watch it right now? Put this on pause?
Oh, man, I wish I had it. I can't wait till... too bad it's in the Mickey vault. Next year it'll be out.
It's the Disney vault. You keep calling it the Mickey vault.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Although I think I've heard that the Disney vault is shaped as Mickey.
It's only right. Everything else in fucking Disneyland is.
Yeah. In the film's first wedding scene, as the bride and groom are approaching the minister, the side profile shots of the minister allegedly, PJ, reveal him to be sporting an erection. The minister is dressed as a bishop, wearing a tunic and tights, and the triangular bulge claimed to be an erection is actually his knee sticking out from under the tunic.
I don't like this.
My pronunciation of tunic?
I don't like this allegedly. I don't like that it's a knee. I got a daughter, and she's going to be watching these movies, okay?
And you're
If
offended?
a priest is going to have a big boner.
No, he doesn't have a big boner. You haven't let Snopes.com explain.
And I complain and I want a $25 gift certificate.
No, as you have a right to it.
To the Disney store or whatever. Build-A-Bear.
I don't think Disney has any direct association
One free
with
bear.
Build-A-Bear.
I want one free bear from Build-A-Bear.
You could
because my daughter might one day watch it if it comes out of the Mickey vault.
You could build a Pumbaa.
A Pumbaa.
A Timon.
Okay.
Yes.
Could build a I could build a Tarzan, and then we could get a voice chip, and we could hire Tate Donovan to do like a recording and be like, "Hey, Sophie, let's swing through the vines together." Not sexually though. This is Tate. That'll work.
You really
And I'll say, "Hey, what's Jennifer Aniston's pussy taste like?"
Really, he dated Jennifer Aniston.
Yeah, right around the time that he was on Friends.
Yeah, I remember him being on Friends. I didn't know they ever dated.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Tate Donovan, the voice of Hercules.
Yeah, he also used to eat out Sandra Bullock.
He was also...
By eat out, I mean date.
Well, I assumed. Do you remember Tate Donovan was in a really shitty, like sleazy mid-90s Fox sitcom called Partners with John Cryer?
Yeah, yeah.
They were like business buddies.
yeah.
Man,
It was bad, and there was a girl in there.
who would
who's
have thought
really
we'd ever talk about Tate fucking Donovan on this
The
show?
girl, I believe the girl on that show was the girl from the movie Godzilla.
Oh yeah, I know her. I jerked off to her once,
Really?
probably twice.
From Godzilla?
No, not from Godzilla. She was in something else. I think I jerked off to her on that show. Man, I would jerk off to some weird shit. I'd wait for Christina Applegate to show up on Married with Children. Didn't take long, and didn't matter the era. Like even punk rock 14-year-old Christina Applegate.
We had a friend who wouldn't even really jerk off. He would more hump the ground to the sight of Jasmine from the Aladdin cartoons.
Yeah, the Disney Afternoon Aladdin TV series. Yeah, this particular fellow, his brother, which is weird enough because his brother hid out in the room and waited
him.
for him to masturbate to the Aladdin cartoon, which but he only had a stakeout long enough to jump out and call him a fag, basically, right?
I call him a perv or something. I don't know about fag. At least it was Jasmine.
But I remember him very descriptively
Who's the
describing
fag trying to spy on his brother masturbating?
yeah. But apparently Jasmine was pretty hot. I never paid much attention.
I guess. But his brother Nick would always admit to jerking off to those exercise shows in the morning, and those kids were jerk off fiends, I swear.
Yeah, he also used to jerk off to Lois Lane in Superman comic books. Do you ever jerk off in anything weird? Anything animated?
No.
Me neither. Never anything animated. Not even Jessica Rabbit. And I rewatched that recently.
I think there was a
I
time.
tucked that boner away.
There was a time when we lived in that big house that I was kind of obsessed with. I was trying to draw naked women. I had seen Billy Madison. There's a scene where he's in there talking to his teacher.
So this was only 2 or 3 years ago.
And he was in love with his teacher, and he was drawing a naked picture, and I was like, ooh, that's sexy. And I want to learn how to draw. And one of us had an Animaniacs t-shirt, and it had the Hello Nurse Nurse on it.
Well, that would have been me.
So I would trace it to draw a naked woman. This is before we found Dad's Playboy stuff. So
I was going to say, yeah.
How did we get here? Girl from Godzilla, girl from Partners with Dronkire, Tate Donovan. Oh, we were talking about the Disney Channel. Tate Donovan.
Originally, yes, we were.
Yeah. Did you ever see those? Oh, hey, you saw High School Musical 3 in the theater.
Kind of. I exited twice to watch part of Zack and Mary Make a Porno.
Yeah. What do you think of... First of all, I'd like to say that I predicted to my wife when I loved musicals. And when High School Musical is on the Disney Channel, I will leave it on there for a while. And every time that blonde girl, Ashley Tisdale, would come on, I was saying, there's no way this girl isn't getting a nose job really soon. High School Musical is a money-making thing. By the time I was seeing part 1, part 3 in the theaters was already in the works. And I said, there's no way this girl's not getting a nose job. She's got such a fucking huge nose.
Does she? Or did she?
Did she? That it was distracting. And
well, she's got albums and shit now.
yeah, I thought it was so funny that I called it out. And then, I don't know, she had some medical excuse for it. I don't fucking buy it. But Vanessa Hudgens, hot? Yeah?
Vanessa Hudgens. Oh, yeah, she's hot.
Oh, yeah. Did you ever see those pictures that came out?
I didn't. Did you? Are they full out, like full on, or just boobs?
Full frontal.
Really?
Yeah, I saw them once, and to be honest, I saw them kind of by accident. Like, I was on
right.
I swear, I was on like PerezHilton.com.
Well, that by itself should be an accident.
And it was like that day. But I immediately had like this wave of guilt because it was so early on that I was wondering when these pictures were taken, she could have been 18.
Yeah.
Because she was 18 like right then.
Let me ask you this. Did you have your daughter at this time?
Yeah.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
probably why you had that thought then.
Yeah. It was real disturbing. And so I was so terrified the FBI was going to come busting through.
Which would suck.
That would suck, especially when my daughter's in the next room. But I swear it was like in a Yahoo Mail account link.
You know what? If you had been busted for that and they came around asking me for an interview, I'd totally give it to them.
If I had
I'd
been
sell you out, man. I know what's going on with you.
if I had been busted for that, then there would be like no more child solicitation online sex. If they caught me for being linked from a major website like Perez Hilton to a naked picture of a 3-day underage girl. But then again, I think if it was on there, she had to have been 18, right?
I don't know. I don't know how the internet works anymore.
Yeah.
I know you to verify that you're 18, you just say yes.
Yeah. I agree to the terms of service.
Yep. And of course I do,
Yeah.
as an 18-year-old.
But it didn't hurt Vanessa Hudgens' career. And if she wants to make some like more recent nude photos, then I'll look them up.
She's dating Zac Efron, yeah?
Yeah.
Still? Even
Yeah.
still?
Although those pictures were taken for...
This episode is devoted to our sister, Melissa, by the way, who loves this fucking show and movie.
those naked photos with her huge hairy vagina, which was extremely hairy.
I was going to ask that earlier, and I felt like it might be too crass.
Oh, no, it was very hairy.
That's unfortunate. Like, I feel like she should be... Never mind. How old is she again?
She's of age now.
Okay.
I heard that the pictures were taken for her then boyfriend Drake from Drake and Josh.
Oh, that douchebag.
Yeah.
That guy that pretends that he knows how to hold a guitar.
Lucky guy. But yeah, and then now recently one of the Cheetah Girls had some nude photos exposed, which to me...
I hope it's Raven Simone.
No, to me just screamed publicity all the way. Because I have not seen these photos online, but watching my daily doses of Inside Edition Extra, the Insider, Entertainment Tonight, Access
Which do you have any
Hollywood.
explanation for?
I love it. I just like it.
Fair enough.
Like, they're not even nude. They're just, like, provocative shots, and I don't know. It's just fake. She released them on purpose is what I'm getting at. She dates Kim Kardashian's brother and occasionally pops up on their reality show.
How's his ass? Nice?
It's not a sex video. It's pictures she took for him.
I see.
But you see nothing from what I hear. Sorry, guys. And lesbian listeners.
This is the last thing I really want to pin on Disney. And it's so obscure that I just can't wait to read it to you. Here's the claim, and you have to tell me whether it's true or false.
Okay.
During the filming of the 1958 Disney nature documentary White Wilderness, the film crew induced lemmings into jumping off a cliff and into the sea in order to document their supposed suicidal behavior.
What
True or
are
false?
lemmings?
You can look at the picture right here, and we will post one online.
Oh,
Kind
it's
of
an
looks like a
animal.
huge rat.
I got it. I'll say true.
Well, I think you just looked at the screen and saw that it said true.
No. I think Walt Disney's a Nazi, and he was totally effed up like that.
As it turns out, you're right. Yeah, and there is also a picture that we'll post of Walt Disney in Nazi garb.
Nice.
I did it in Photoshop. Lemming suicide is fiction. Contrary to the popular belief, lemmings do not periodically hurl themselves off of cliffs and into the sea. Cyclical explosions in population do occasionally induce lemmings to attempt to migrate to areas of lesser population density. The Arctic rodents were placed on a snow-covered turntable and filmed from various angles to produce a migration sequence. Afterwards, the helpless creatures were transported to a cliff overlooking a river and herded into the water. White Wilderness does not depict an actual lemming migration. At no time are more than a few dozen lemmings ever shown on the screen at once. The entire sequence was faked using a handful of lemmings deceptively photographed to create the illusion of a large herd of migrating creatures.
Who's gonna start like a huge lemming conspiracy fucking cover-up for a documentary?
What do you mean?
That's ridiculous. Who cares about lemmings?
Apparently a lot of people do. I cared enough to read it out loud.
That's true.
But not because it's apparently
It
interesting.
is a little sad, I give you that.
Yeah, you hear... you ever see a depiction of an animal being hurt or killed in a movie and wonder how they faked it sometimes?
Not really.
Me neither. not to spread rumors here on the podcast, but that scene in Fear where Mark Wahlberg cut that dog's
Cuts the
head off
dog's
and put
head
it through
off?
the doggy door.
Mark Wahlberg fucking does that, man.
Yeah. I've got actual video of it. He doesn't only talk to animals, he cuts their heads off.